What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Just one more Steelers-Ravens film room for the week. Showed the offense some love, went over the game-winning drive, did a deep dive on Broderick Jones' first career start as well, but wanted to show the defensive side of the ball a little love as well, just for some of these big plays that they made in the second half of this one. Several plays I felt like, over the course of the week have gone a little bit under-discussed. So we're going to talk about some of those. Just before we get started, please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. All that stuff is greatly appreciated. And let's get after it. So as I said in the post-game recap, we can all acknowledge that the Ravens receivers were really bad on this afternoon and kind of kept the Steelers in the game while the defensive side of the ball kind of found their footing a little bit. But I did think that, the Steelers defense made a handful of plays in the second half that were pretty big plays, man. And it was nice because it came from a lot of different players, and it came from players that maybe aren't necessarily the typical guys we think of when we think of these like really clutch or key moments. So this is the first third down of the second half here. The Steelers are in their dime personnel playing three safeties. They're just going to be running a coverage that's just cover one robber. So you'll notice at the snap, once Jackson takes the ball, Keanu Neal's kind of trying to do a little pre-snap disguise, make this look like too high, but he's going to come down into this robber role. And really what this is designed to do is, he's just kind of coming down to the middle of the field, and he's just going to jump, really the first crosser that he sees. So he kind of jumps in front of Mark Andrews. Really nice job by the pass rush here. The Steelers are just bringing four and playing man coverage everywhere else. But really good job by Neal to just step down and get in front of Andrews while the pocket collapses. We get a really good rush here from Alex Highsmith going speed to power off the edge. Lamar does end up getting out of the pocket, but I think it's really awesome, the recognition skills and the speed that Keanu Neal shows on this play. So you can really see it from this angle. Again, Cole Holcomb's lined up right here in the B gap, and really this is just to try to get one-on-ones across the board. And that's eventually what happens. Watt sees a little bit of help late, but he has the back in coverage. Look at this rush by Alex Highsmith off the edge, going speed to power, kind of knocks him back into Jackson, gets a fingertip on him. Jackson's a pretty tough dude to corral in the pocket, but a nice job kind of enclosing him in there. And watch how quickly Neal goes from, okay, let me rob this crosser from Andrews to busting his behind and getting to Lamar Jackson on the perimeter. Because, TJ's a really good athlete, but I think we can all probably admit that Lamar's probably going to outrun him to this first down. But just an awesome play, by Keanu Neal, just recognizing what needs to happen and getting an extra set of eyes. And that's kind of having these kind of zone coverage defenders, the guys that are, with the eyes on Jackson. We talked about that before the week started. That really helps, take away some of his rushing lanes after he escapes the pocket. So awesome play by Keanu Neal there. So on the next drive, the Steelers were kind of gifted another drop on that slot fade from Nelson Aguilar. But this is another 3rd and 6 right here. The Steelers are going to end up stopping Jackson in the backfield. But just wanted to kind of point out the coverage a little bit. The Steelers were really aggressive in how they were attacking these Baltimore receivers, particularly on 3rd down. They really wanted to get up in these guys' faces and see, if they can match up one-on-one. So they're going to come out in their down personnel. You got Minka Fitzpatrick and Patrick Peterson as the guys in the slot here. You've got press man coverage across the board with one deep safety. But instead of having a hole or a robber defender, on this one they're actually going to send 6 guys and run a little stunt up the middle. But it's a really good play by Quan Alexander. His name is going to come up again in the video, but I just think that Quan made a couple of really strong plays, particularly down the stretch of this game, that had huge impact on the outcome. You guys can kind of see him and, Keanu Neal here running a little stunt. So he's trying to loop around Keanu Neal and test the Ravens' backs and pass protection. As he kind of comes around here, he gets stonewalled by the back here. But as Lamar starts stepping up, we get a really good rush from TJ, kind of ghost move on the edge right there. He ends up getting a little bit of Jackson, but he causes Jackson to step up in the pocket. And then Quan does a good job just getting his eyes on the quarterback and understanding that they need to be really diligent about their rush lanes. He ended up closing that space, makes the tackle in space, which we know is not an easy thing to do on Lamar, and that gets him off the field on third down. So another awesome play right there by Quan. So last week against the Texans, Houston hit the Steelers with several halfback screens, wide receiver screens that, hit for productive plays. And I think that was something that Baltimore saw on film. We just went over the man coverage aspect. The Steelers are trying to play man. They're trying to bring a little pressure. So Monka dials up a screen. He actually has a really good play called here. I'm kind of doing a little speculating on this play, but I actually think that Quan Alexander kind of ad-libs this one. I'll kind of explain what I'm saying here. But you see that him and Holcomb are communicating pre-snap. Holcomb's lined up in the B gap with the running back sidecar to Jackson. I think after the snap here, it almost looks like they're trying to run some type of stunt and bring Quan from depth here to come to the other side. And it actually looks like it's going to work. He has a free shot to the quarterback. And I'm pretty sure just based off Holcomb's movements, considering his eyes immediately go to the running back, I'm pretty sure he actually has him in coverage on this one, and they weren't anticipating him leaking out the other side. And then you see that, Quan makes an excellent play, excellent decision here to understand, oh, crap, I got to go get the back here or else this is going to be a big play. He almost tips this ball, gets there in just the nick of time, but ends up corralling Justice Hill in the backfield for a loss. Just an excellent play here. Sometimes on these running back routes like this, the linebackers will communicate like, all right, if he goes left, he's mine. If he goes right, he's yours. But on these blitzes, I think it makes it a little bit more difficult to kind of come off of that guy. But Baltimore has a really good play drawn up here, except Quan's just excellent, football IQ. And awareness to kind of sniff out this screen. Excellent play in the backfield. He was on fire in the second half, and I think you saw the best version of these Steelers linebackers and the best version of Quan Alexander on Sunday against the Ravens. On the following drive, we get a 3rd and 3 with the Steelers in their base defense right here. The Ravens are just going to run kind of a simple run up the middle, but I wanted to highlight this play by Landon Roberts here. This is an excellent open field tackle. Lamar's going to end up sending the back to the other side. You can see just kind of the rushing lanes that this creates up front. There's a lot of space for the back to, work here. And Roberts ends up having to come downhill really unblocked with a one-on-one here on 3rd and short. If he doesn't make this tackle, who knows how long this goes. You got Minkah Fitzpatrick kind of at the 3rd level waiting as well. But everything else is blocked up extremely well. I mean, I'm sure that this is probably pretty close to, what the Ravens envisioned this looking like on a whiteboard. But, one-on-one situations, offenses, especially at the NFL level, they're really trying to get these one-on-ones for their running backs against these 2nd and 3rd level defenders. You see Roberts come down, really in control, does a good job staying square, and hits the target, ends up bringing him down for a no-contest stop on 3rd and short. So that forces another punt. This is just another example of, the second half. I thought the Steelers inside linebackers, Cole Holcomb as well. He's not necessarily going to be featured in this video, but I thought all of those guys played extremely well in the second half, and it gives you some excitement about, that group, kind of coming together as the season rolls along. Following the muff punt from Gunnar Olszewski, the Steelers were put in a really big predicament down here. 2nd goal, they're only down 2 points, but they desperately need to hold Baltimore to a field goal here. Just really love this play. Just wanted to kind of highlight some little stuff here, just the pre-snap communication, specifically by Minkah Fitzpatrick. You'll see him give this little hand signal. It looks like he's telling Joey Porter Jr. maybe that he's one-on-one here in man coverage. But, as the play unfolds, they're going to send the back in motion, run a little sprint out to the right side of the field with a shovel pass coming from the other side. But you see that Fitzpatrick and Alexander actually switch responsibilities here. But Quan does a good job getting his head back to the backfield and making an incredible stop on Mark Andrews in the open field. You can kind of see it pretty good from this angle as well. If Quan doesn't make this tackle, I think he probably walks into the end zone. Because this is again another example of those situations where it's one-on-one in space and a really big play, big point of the game. But Quan does an excellent job wrapping him up in the backfield. to create a 3rd and 4. And we all kind of know what happens next. Arguably the biggest play of the game, aside from the actual game-winning touchdown. But again, you can kind of see it from this angle, a little sprint out. They're going to shovel pass to Andrews underneath. You can see, like, as Andrews catches the ball here, it's one-on-one for the touchdown, between Andrews and Alexander. Quan wins the one-on-one. Excellent tackle in space. And an absolutely huge play to set up 3rd and goal. All right, 3rd and 5, late in the 4th quarter. Steelers in their dime package, just playing some man coverage across the board here. Another press man rep, challenging these receivers. An absolutely huge play here by Joey Porter Jr. to come away with his first career interception. Definitely something that needs to be highlighted. The play call isn't anything crazy from Baltimore. They're just saying, all right, you got a rookie corner out there on the boundary. We're going to test him with our veteran receiver. Going to throw a little fade ball and see if he's up to the task, up to the challenge. So what Porter does really well here, I really like the technique just to make sure that he is staying square to the receiver. We talked a lot about Joey Porter Jr. on the channel, but just does a really good job staying square. And once this receiver takes that strong outside release, Porter understands that, he has to stay on top, but he's also got to get his head back to the football. And you see him, slowly shift his eyes back into the backfield, anticipating the fade ball. This is a poorly thrown ball from Jackson, one of the few that he threw kind of in a really poor place on Sunday. This ball needs to really be on the back shoulder and up high. But a really good job by Porter, using the sideline because he's one-on-one right here. So you got to make sure you protect your inside foot, but does a good job kind of using the sideline and getting his helmet back to the ball and then high pointing the football at the catch point to come away with an interception. And, this is an absolutely huge play. If Beckham ends up beating him on this fade ball and ends up scoring a touchdown, we probably don't think much of it because it was the punt, or the muff punt, I should say, that ended up causing the Steelers to get put in this situation. But this is the difference between the Steelers being down 2 scores with 5 minutes left and probably no shot that they win the game, and them being down only 2 and getting the ball back, and they're able to go down and get that the game-winning touchdown. So just an awesome play for Joey Porter, just being really confident. You see, just again, really nice job staying square. He ends up landing that inside punch and does a good job just getting his head back to the ball. So awesome play from the rookie. Hopefully he's a guy that we see more and more of as the weeks roll on. I anticipate him getting at least a little bit bigger of a role coming out of the bye week. So 1st and 10, following the George Pickens long ball touchdown down the right sideline. Steelers going to come out, down personnel, 3 safety look, just playing, cover 1, man coverage across the board, bringing an extra guy up front as well. Just an awesome play here by Alex Highsmith. Highsmith was absolutely dominant on the day. I believe he finished with 7 pressures on the afternoon. And, I think it just kind of depends on what site you look at. Pro Football Focus had him down at 7. Next Gen Stats had him with 10. Ended up having a sack, and I think he had a second sack called back on the afternoon. But good coverage on the back end. But honestly, it doesn't really matter. When you get an edge rusher that wins their one-on-one this freaking quick, that's special. And, Highsmith absolutely abused Ronnie Stanley on the afternoon, to be honest with you. Stanley's a really good player, but Highsmith, quite frankly, dominated him. And that's an awesome thing to see. Highsmith got that big deal in the offseason. He's consistently generated pressure, even if, he's been maybe a little bit unlucky in the sack department so far. But kind of want to just go over this rush. One of the things I really like about both Watt and Highsmith, as you see Watt kind of drawing the double there with the chip, and then they're going to send the running back to his side as well. Highsmith's going to use what's called a cross chop move here. So you can kind of see him come off, and then he is going to use his inside arm to kind of swipe down that outside arm of Ronnie Stanley. And, Lamar is about to throw this ball over the middle, and it's going to come open. OBJ has, he's going to end up beating Joey Porter Jr. right here because of the leverage that Porter's playing. And this is just a super quick win and a really high-level pressure there from Highsmith. And good job, attacking the throwing hand. We talked about it this week about Lamar's fumbles in the pocket. That was one of the ways to kind of get after him. But honestly, I mean, when your left tackle loses this quickly, I'm not really sure that there's a ton that you're going to be able to do as a quarterback. You're not really anticipating hitting the back of your drop and somebody already being in your mug like that. But just an excellent cross chop move. This is super smooth, man, and just really wanted to highlight, Alex Highsmith's performance in general because I thought it was, one of the best performances of his this season. He's off to a really good start. Like I said, the contract, him signing a deal that made him one of the top 10, 15 edge rushers in the league, I think it signaled that the Steelers really anticipated him taking another jump, and I think that's entirely possible as the season kind of moves on here.